Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contractor Grow Show. My name is Mark, and today I'm talking with Tim Travers at Bristol Remodeling over in Plainsville, Massachusetts. Tim, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
You guys have got a great story into all kinds of things, not only in Plainsville, Massachusetts, but also in Cranston, Rhode Island. Also opening, sounds like you're licensed now in North Carolina and opening a branch there, doing a lot of residential, doing a lot of commercial. Really excited for this interview and just to kind of unpack, the different things you guys are up to. Maybe you could just start by hearing a little bit of the history of the business, kind of how you guys got into it and where things are at today.
Yeah, so I think it was back in about 2013 we started. We actually, the area that we were in the Plainville, Attleboro, Massachusetts area there was a lot of opportunity to flip houses. And so we started purchasing houses, but more so for the land for future development, for new construction. And what I found was, we were flipping houses, but I was actively working on the projects with the guys and doing the rehabs. And they were really at the time complete property restorations. There was a lot of opportunity in the area. But what I would find is that I would work so hard on one, and then we'd be done, and I would have a 6 or an 8 week or 10-week lag between projects, and I would lose the guys. Then you would buy another property, and you'd call the guys back and say, "Hey, can you come help me?" And they'd be like, "Well, yeah, when we're done on Johnny's project," or whoever it was at the time. And it was like, "Oh, okay, well, that's great."
Oh, great.
And so I started the company, interestingly enough, with $300 worth of tools that I borrowed from my wife, and it's a true story. And
You borrowed from your wife?
that I borrowed from my wife because she was pretty handy, and I was always in like heavy equipment and trucking and stuff. But so when I started doing this, it was like I was borrowing the tools from her. So long story short, what happened was we had sold, one or two of the projects, and we started having these realtors coming to us and saying, "Hey, can you do these projects for my clients? Can you do a kitchen? Can you do a bathroom?" And it was a great way for filler work in between the flips. And so we started doing that, but then ultimately we got so busy with the residential remodeling that we couldn't do our own flips anymore because we didn't have time, because we started becoming booked so far out that and I didn't want to be a house flipper, right? That wasn't the goal. It was just so that was kind of how it morphed into what it is. And we quickly became a very large remodeling company in the area. And at the time, there weren't many of them.
Oh, man. And you're still grateful to your wife for loaning you those tools, huh?
Oh, and I still hear to this day that she can't find her tools.
Oh my God, that's hilarious, man. Amazing. So you were flipping houses, moved into construction, and you didn't have time to flip the houses anymore. Okay. What happened next? So you guys started to build a crew, and
yes, we started building crews, and we started doing bathrooms. We got really big into we started doing 203K renovation loans, which are person will buy a property and they'll borrow X amount of dollars to make the improvements on the property, and it's all based on what the future forecasted appraised values are going to be upon project completion. So we started doing a lot of those, and they're very paperwork heavy up front, but if you're excellent with your paperwork, they're really easy to do. So we started doing tons of those. And we had another project where somebody came and said a tree fell on one of my clients' house. It basically split it in half. Nobody could estimate it. Nobody could price it. We went and looked at it kind of, last contractor in, and looked at it, and I said, "Okay, it'll be X amount and we'll be done in 35 days. And the kid was living on the property with his wife and his little girl in a temporary housing trailer. And he looked at me and he said, "What did you say?" I said, 35 days. He goes, "You're hired." And we were out in 30. And so, we had big signs there, and it just kept going and going. And it's just, but it's all about doing the right thing and showing up. And, but we also don't work 7 to 2:30. We start our day at 7, we finish at 5, 6 o'clock. I work from 6:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night. So when we started, I was working 110 hours a week. So what the average company was doing what I was doing in 1 year, hours wise, was equal to what the average company would do in 2.5 years. So that was the other reason how we grew so fast in 5 years, is that really equates to like 12.5 years of growth.
Wow, man. Amazing. Taking the feverish notes here. Okay. And then So I mean, you guys have you're in two different locations right now. Now soon to be in three. We talked a little bit before. I mean, you guys are doing kind of 85% residential, 15% commercial. Now it's about 50-50. How does it work for you? And I mean, what is the idea around having the different locations? How has that worked for your business model?
Well, so we we started in Attleboro, then Plainville, then to Rentham, and back to Plainville, and we started doing a lot in Rhode Island, and we saw a need, and it was mostly driven by real estate agents. There was a need to do client perform work, and but from a address in Rhode Island's kind of funny because people in Rhode Island, the realtors will call you, but the clientele won't call you if you're not from Rhode Island. So we opened up a Rhode Island location specifically for that because Rhode Island's a little different. It's the smallest state in the country, and if it's more than a 15-minute drive in Rhode Island, it's too far, right? Whereas if you're in North Carolina, you drive an hour and a half, and it's like going down the street.
Right.
So it's just,
Next door neighbors.
Yeah, it's just totally different mentality. So we'd open that. I mean, and it well, and it goes well. We do quite a bit. We do a lot of coastal homes. We have some great clients. We built some coastal homes for and a lot of renovation projects. So it been a niche for warehousing and location, and when we've been successful with it. But Massachusetts is our primary location in our home.
Okay. And then you guys are expanding in North Carolina now as well.
Yes. Yeah, we are. I just finished getting my unlimited building licenses there, my excavation and roadway licenses there. We've opened up Bristol construction down there, and we bought a subdivision, the remnants of a subdivision, an old Warehouser subdivision on the water in Merritt, North Carolina. So we have everything. It's all going to be deep water properties. It's going to be, second, third home style properties. Deep water, they all have permitted for docks, and so there'll be second, third home, fishing camps, essentially not really camps. I mean, these are going to be 3,000-4,000 square foot homes. One of them's as big as 8, but so we're getting ready to start building those in September.
Wow, that is incredible, man. How many people do you have on your team these days? Probably.
So I have a few key employees. We have the young man who's been with us for 6 years. He's excellent. We have another gentleman, Steven, who's a project manager for us. He also worked with me at Habitat for Humanity, so I had coached him to get his license. So he does a lot of project management. And then we have this really vast and diverse network in multiple states of about 50 regular subcontractors and subcontracted trades that work with us on a weekly basis. I mean, we have a really, really excellent team of subcontractors that, electricians, plumbers. Just finished a big project in Taunton with them. I mean, we call, they go. They're like the best of the best.
Wow, man, how have you been able to create the kind of culture I just get that you're serious businessman. You've got all kinds of things going on. I mean, I love the origin in real estate. I think inevitably that probably informs the work that you do at just a whole other level, right? Because you can see, the impact of, the financial piece of this, and you guys bought a subdivision. I mean, but regarding your team, the team ultimately wants to work for a winner, right? And we all want to be on a winning team. But I mean, how have you? What are a couple of tips on kind of recruiting and retaining, these excellent subcontractors or people on your team over these years?
So, and that's a great question. So, when I look at a job or estimate a project, right? So then the location of the job dictates what team is gonna get it, right? Because I don't want them driving 2 hours from their regular supply houses and locations they like to work in. So I try to keep everybody in kind of the same towns or counties or similar towns. And it's you put electricians and plumbers together that know each other, that work well together, that aren't pointing fingers. When I look at a job, I mean, I know these guys and their pricing so well. I don't need to go and get a price from them. I'm not shopping 3 of my electricians to see who's going to be the cheapest. It's just who's going to do that well. What's their skill set? Does it fit them? Is it a commercial? Is it a residential? Is it we just completed a job. It was a 140-year-old house. Who's going to work on that project well? And I pay right away. My plasterer has, my plastering company, even though we pay by check, calls me quick cash because I pay the bill before the plaster's dry. So it's like I'm usually chasing these guys for invoices to pay them, and I think that goes a long way, right? Like I'm not the contractor that you're gonna send the bill to, and then I'm gonna bill the client. You're gonna get a check 45 days later. I mean, everybody's paid, within 10 days, and everybody wants a client like that, right? I want the same type of client, and I am their client, right? So everybody wants to be paid promptly. I don't haggle on price. I'm not, oh, well, this extra wasn't accounted for. You're going to eat that. I don't do that. It is what it is. We all work together. I don't point fingers. I don't blame. I don't lie. I don't say, oh, we don't talk about that. And I'm there sweeping the floors, and I'm there with the guys, and I'm there raking the yard. And some will say, well, how do you operate a business and do that? You have to plan your time accordingly. But, we were just finishing up a big job, and I'm in there helping the guys clean and pick up and get the stuff out of the house. I mean, it's teamwork makes the dream work. It's building a partnership for success, not standing there pointing and saying you do. If they see me do it, then when I ask to do it, and it might be the crappiest of jobs, they'll go do it because they know I'm not afraid to.
Wow. So, man, I took a look here on your site, and there's one particular thing that stood out here, and you've already talked about this some, and I just want to chat about this for a second because, I don't know, man, these days, it seems like sometimes work ethic has gotten soft, and there's sort of, but meanwhile, there's these like absolute badasses like Alex Ramosi or some of these like heroes that I have that are like, no, dude, hustle hard. Like, that's what this is about. You can't replace hustle. I mean, you can't replace work ethic with, fancy talk or whatever. I saw here on your site, why choose Bristol? I mean, there's, reliability, craftsmanship, and we hear these things, right? But you also list work ethic. And you talked about this. I mean, you work, 110 hours a week. How does that look today? I mean, how do you instill in your team, and what does it look like? What does that mean to you, work ethic these days? I mean, it sounds like you're not necessarily working 110 hours a week now, or maybe you are. I mean, if I'm showing up working 40 hours and you're working 110 hours, there's no way in hell that I'm going to beat you in what I'm doing. You're going to get so far ahead. What does work ethic mean in the kind of Bristol culture?
Pride in workmanship, number one. Pride in workmanship. Doing what you say you're going to do, doing the job to 110% completeness. Not doing. There's some people that say, well, it's close enough, or it's just okay is good enough. It's do it 110% or don't do it at all. I mean, our name is on it. My name is on it, and it's not about me. It's about everybody. It's be proud when you drive around with your families in the towns and say I worked on that house. Be proud when you're, for example, it was a couple of years ago. We did a job in Massachusetts, happened to be in Rhode Island. We were in like a Hobby Lobby, and some woman, former client, walked up with her sister and said, oh, hey, how's it going? I was with my wife, and she goes, oh my God, your husband built us the most amazing bathroom. We love it. And he did such extra, and it's stuff like that. You want that to happen. But, you have to take pride in the workmanship. And I'll lose money on a job before I make it not right. You know what I mean? And even if we can't build a client, it's going to be, for something. I don't want the warranty claim. I don't want the negative input. I don't want, I don't want somebody saying we didn't do a good job. We go above and beyond. And I expect the same things from our employees and our subs.
I love it. So you, amongst the numerous projects that you're involved in at all different levels, you also found the time to be the president of the Old Colony Habitat for Humanity. Sounds like for 10 years, president of Habitat for Humanity in the local area. What was that like, and how did you kind of find time to do all that, man?
So it was interesting. So the company Bristol came from us being in Bristol County. So when I needed to find a name for the company, it's like, what do you name it? And it'll kind of fold back into the habitat piece. So everything in the community was Bristol County Savings Bank, Bristol County Community College. So it was an instant fit to use Bristol. And that, helped us with our growth. And so we were so successful in the community. Habitat was looking for help. And our former mayor at the time, I had run into him, and he said, oh, this just they just opened the store, you should get involved. So I reached out to them, and they invited me to a board meeting. I became a board member. They had an open VP slot. Quickly I became a VP, and then the president was exiting, asked me to become president, which I did, which leads to a commercial client. And so long story short, I started in the more leadership role, but they were really upside down, that affiliate. They were $175,000 in the red. And now I kind of inherit this mess. And it's like, what do I do with this? Do I bankrupt it? Do I close it? It's like, oh my God, this thing's been here for, I think 18, 20 years at the time. I'm like, this is crazy. And they had this restore that sold used goods, like used building materials. And they couldn't even make payroll. And the rent was insane on this building.
Wow.
And so there was Penn Gaming, who owns Plainridge Park Casino in the area, had somebody that was on the board that had left. And then this new person had been relocated and called me and said, hey, man, I'm so-and-so. I'm from Plainridge Park Casino. I'd like to get back involved. How can I help? And he came in, and he actually became my VP. And we couldn't make payroll. And he looked at it and he said, I got it. And they came back in, and Plainridge came in with a $10,000 donation check and said, we'll take over the books. We got it from here. And they donated 10 grand, and they helped us straighten it out. And by the time him and I were done with it, I mean, it was, they were building a house a year. They were very successful, but I mean, community partnership, and thanks to Penn Gaming.
Wow. Thanks to Penn Gaming. I love it. Shout out to Penn Gaming. Amazing guys. Incredible. Well, Tim, so I mean, what does the future look like for you guys? You guys have got, other locations that are opening up. You guys doing a lot of commercial work, a lot of residential. Are you guys still in growth mode? Are you in explosive growth mode? Are you guys kind of in stabilization?
I mean, we're always looking to grow, right? So, for example, we just broke ground on a subdivision in Massachusetts that we own, small couple house subdivision that we're building. The guys are out there. They grubbed it yesterday. We tree cleared it last week. The surveyors are out there putting the stakes in for the foundations. We'll do that Monday. And we're doing a 10,000 square foot medical facility that we started today. They're out there soft washing the exterior. The interior construction will start next week. And we're also doing a really cool project, which is the Union Street Theater, which is a old, like, kind of opera playhouse theater that's been closed for 30 years. It's like a time capsule. So we're getting that off the ground and running, and they're revitalizing it, getting that open back up. But we're looking to increase our new construction this year, our new construction numbers. We're looking to increase our remodeling, but our focus is mainly on larger remodeling, right? Kitchens and up, but additions, whole house remodels, coastal homes where you don't necessarily tear the entire house down, but maybe you're going down to the foundation because of a FEMA regulation, building from the foundation back up, 2-3 levels, things like that. And North Carolina is very exciting. We I think for growth down there, we're looking to next steps would be, starting that subdivision, but we're also been diligently looking for property because we want to open up a material processing yard. So, earth moving in, process it, grind it, convert it, and gravel mulch out, different, site work products like that. So that's kind of the next step, is processing facility down there.
Amazing. And I mean, that's going to be for retail, but ultimately it's going to serve you guys' needs as well.
Yeah, and I think that my thought behind it is, right, so if we start, we had heavy equipment when I was younger. We got rid of a lot of that, but we're getting back into the heavy equipment down in North Carolina. So when you're not doing the subdivisions, I need a home for the heavy equipment. It doesn't make dollars and cents if it's sitting still. So what I can do is I can send it back to a processing yard and have it work the processing yard with the same guys. You can charge for the material coming in. You can charge for the material going out. There's a whole litany of things we can do there, but it also keeps the equipment busy, keeps it moving, and then we're in the talks with some other, equipment manufacturers about potentially opening up a dealership maybe too further down the road. So, but the next big move is processing yard, have a 10, 20 acre site where we're processing products.
Wow. Tim, amazing, man. As you know, and have heard and experience every day, what an incredible story. And man, it's an honor. I can't believe that I'm able to get time on people's schedules that are doing such amazing work and impressive. If folks want to get in touch with you guys and want to, if they're in if they're in the different areas we've talked about in Plainville, Massachusetts, and Cranston, North Carolina, if they want to hear more about what you guys are doing or be a part of your story, come, jump on your team one way or the other if they're able to get in there. What are a couple of good ways to get in touch with you guys?
You guys can visit our websites, bristolconstruction.com, which is the commercial side, bristolremodeling.com is the residential side. Or you can follow us on Facebook in the Bristol Remodeling Construction Facebook page, or reach out to us, or other small businesses or other businesses that need assistance or have questions. You can always reach out to me. More than happy to help, or or somebody wants to join our subcontractor network. Definitely willing to add on. We're always looking to build great teams, for other parts of the states that we go into.
Wow, amazing. Guys, get in touch with Tim, bristolconstruction.com, bristolremodeling.com. Find him over on Facebook. Get in touch. I mean, this is a a winning team, and if you become a part of this somehow, you're going to learn a lot, and it would be an honor. God, if I was back in the trades and I was in the area, man, that's the first thing I would do is get in touch with Tim. Tim, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been an absolute honor, and we would love to have you back on the show at some point again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Have a great day. Thanks.